welcome back to Cycles of Life podcast. My name is Jana and I'm your host. I'm a life coach, I'm a meditation teacher, and just a very curious person who likes to learn things and can understand how the world works around me. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to season 2, I guess. So I've recorded over 30 episodes last year, which is quite nice to look back on, to be honest. It's quite satisfying to know that it's quite a few episodes are there already for everyone to listen to. So this episode, I just wanted to outline what's coming, what's next, what my plans are, but also talk about, and kind of going back to the roots of this podcast really, and talk about cycles. So this time I want to talk about the cycle of the year, calendar year as we know it, and just break it down a little bit. And also you might know that on the 1st of February, so I'm recording this at the end of January, it's actually a celebration, if you like. It's a Gaelic celebration that is called Imbolc, and I'm just going to talk about that a little bit as well. I just think it's A, it's really interesting, and B, there's loads of different lessons and parallels that we can take away from that as well. So yeah, that's what is to come, so stay tuned. So let's get started then. First of all, you might be hearing some random noises around you. Just so you know, I am recording this in Regent's Park. It's a very cold but dry day. It's also very grey. There's no sunshine, but it's there. So I thought, well, I went on a walk in between work and I thought, do you know what? I feel like actually recording an episode as well. Basically, I think that I'm Adam Buxton. I do know the difference between me and Adam Buxton, but entertain me, please. Right, let's get started then. So what's next then? What's coming up? So you might have noticed I've actually updated the logo. So I went for something a bit lighter, just wanted a bit of a more light. So it's exactly the same logo, it's just inverted colours a bit. So yeah, it's still me, it's still the same. I just wanted a bit of a freshen up really before going into next year. So what's coming up? I actually have quite a few interviews lined up. So this year I'm going to aim for having one interview, one solo episode. I think it'll be quite a nice rhythm happening. So that's the plan. So if you have any suggestions or any questions actually, or any topics that you would like me to cover in solo episodes, please give me a shout. Always, all ears. It's always very helpful, and it's also quite interesting to know what people wanted to chat about. But I do have quite a few exciting guests lined up already. So the first interview actually will be with fantastic Jessica Rose Williams. So she is a minimalist, she's an author, her book just came out, and actually I've read it already. It's called Enough, and she talks about how to slow down, how to simplify your life, how to get rid of stuff that is actually no longer serving. So we had a beautiful conversation, which will be live very soon. And then I'm also chatting to a certified nutritionist about simple changes that we can do in our life, how to make them stick. And then I'm also chatting to a yoga teacher, and we talk about that body and mind connection, and actually how can we return back into our bodies. Because I don't know about you, but for me, for a very long time, Jana the body and Jana the brain were two very different things, and we existed in the same place, but we were in very different places. So I just think it's a very interesting concept for someone like me who is not very connected to their body, to learn more about it. What can I do to make it better? So yeah, these are just some of the interviews that I have prepped. I'm still in the process of reaching out to people, chatting to different guests, so more to come. And actually, if you're the person who would love to be on this podcast, please give me a shout. I would absolutely love to chat to you. Have a topic in mind. I'm all ears, so please get in touch. So yeah, that's what's coming up. So I'm aiming for about 10 episodes coming out kind of over the time of the spring, coming into summer, something to listen to. I kind of envision people listening to this podcast when they're going on a walk, or maybe having a delicious cup of tea, or maybe they're cooking themselves some nice dinner. Yeah, I just think it's a nice image. That's what I imagine it like. Right, so that's a little bit about the plans and what's coming up. Now let's talk about today's topic, and actually the cycle the cycle of the year, if you like. Because of course I did call this episode Cycles of Life for a reason, because I think all of us go through very particular cycles, and once you start paying attention, you can recognize, and a lot more things start to make sense in life. So that's why I really want to touch on this subject. My plan is to touch on different cycles as well, not just the obvious ones like a cycle of a daily cycle, a monthly cycle, but also, I don't know if you know, there's a thing like a 7-year life cycle. There's different cycles of even like cycle of grief, cycle of acceptance, etc. So I thought it's quite a nice topic to expand on. But let's go back to the year, the annual cycle. And I know it's something that I touch on quite often, and I'm just really passionate about it, because I think once we slow down, once we start paying attention to these things, a lot of stuff actually starts to make sense in life, and you recognize the patterns, and you recognize that actually now I feel this way, and this happens every year, and you're prepared for that. You know how to adapt to that. You don't try to break yourself every time. You just know this is who you are, and this is how you deal with things. So this episode is being recorded in the end of January, so we very slowly creeping towards spring. And the reason why I want to talk about this today is because of Imbolc. So on the 1st of February, we have Imbolc. So sometimes it's also called the Saint Bridget's Day. So it's a Gaelic traditional festival, and it kind of marks the beginning of spring. And also for Christians, it's the feast day of Saint Bridget as well. So as I said, it's held on the 1st of February. And actually this is about a halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So I think it's quite a nice way to celebrate this and think we're almost there. We're halfway through. We're almost there, and soon the days will be just as long as the nights, and then even longer. And it's just a beautiful time to kind of let go of the past, look into the future, maybe clear out the old if needed, and making both our outer and also inner space, making that space for new beginnings. Of course, we can do this in numerous different ways. Maybe a bit of a spring cleaning in your home. But also what I think is important is clearing your mind and heart to allow inspiration to enter for the new cycle that starts very soon. But what was interesting, I think, as well, it's not just a Gaelic tradition. It's something that is in Christianity. Sometimes it's called Candlemas. So again, it's a Christian holiday celebrated on February the 2nd. And again, it has very many aspects very similar to Imbolc as well. And the celebrations can be traced all the way back to the 4th century Greece. And it was kind of seen as a purification holiday and a celebration of the return of the light. But also, which you might have heard before, the February the 2nd is also celebrated as the Groundhog Day, which of course there's a very famous movie, a very fun movie, if I say so, which this began in the United States in 1887, and the idea is that a groundhog exiting its burrow, and it can predict whether winter will stay or go based on whether the groundhog sees its shadow. So yeah, that's when it started. But I just think it's lovely to know that actually a lot of people for a very long time been noticing that this is kind of the breaking point. It's a very nice threshold between winter and spring. And I think something that we lost is actually that importance of rituals. Rituals give us something to look forward to and gives us that option to celebrate the passing of threshold, which is very ancient yet important tradition to do, to mark the changes, to slow down, to notice how things shift from one into another. Because often we work, we wake up, we go to work, we eat our food, we watch TV, we go to sleep. And it's really easy for life to slip away that way. And then you only 3-4 years later, you wake up and you recognize, oh my God, I don't even know what happened. I don't remember what happened. So I think these small rituals, the small traditions they can implement in your life really help to mark the passing of time, but also help you to notice the changes in your life as well. And that's why I want to talk about the cycle, the annual cycle. Because often, well, let me backtrack. Obviously, I live in Northern Hemisphere. I always lived in Northern Hemisphere. So for me, I lived somewhere with a very defined season. So I'm used to having a very dark and cold winter and then very sunny and light summer. It's kind of similar in UK, just a little bit more merged. But winters can still be pretty grim. And I think that's why people see winter as something sad and dark and cold. But actually, what if we spin it? What if we turn it around and see, what does nature do during this time? And notice that actually nature is resting. Nature is taking its time. It drops everything that it doesn't need to. All the leaves go so it can preserve its life juices. So it can sleep, it can rest and wait for something new to start in spring. What if we do the same? What if we use it as an example, really? And I completely understand sometimes it's hard. We have work, we have responsibilities, we have people who depend on us. But what if we just start gently paying attention to what's happening around us and thinking, how can we implement this into our life? Maybe, just maybe, you can give yourself an extra half an hour in bed in winter. Maybe you can just surround yourself with cozy things to make the coldness and darkness just a little bit more pleasant. Enjoy a bit more. Think about, what do you enjoy in winter and what can you bring more of? Those very cold walks in a park with a hot cup of tea. And actually right now I do have a cup of Earl Grey in my hand with a little bit of oat milk, and it's nice and it's cozy. It's a chance to wear our big coats and jackets that make us feel like we're enveloped in a blanket. There's little pleasant things that we can definitely bring more of into our life, but also shift our attention and pay more attention on these things as well. So what I want to encourage you really is, maybe for the next year, maybe you can start a journal where you will just mark, how do you feel each season, and what are the positives, what do you like, what maybe you don't like, and how you would like to change it going forward. How would you like to change your attitude towards some aspects? As I said, if you really don't like cold, how can you bring more warmth into your life? And that's kind of what I want to touch upon today, really, is thinking about how can we start noticing these cycles in our life, this annual cycle of seasons come and go. Because once the summer starts, it's very easy, and I mean, I do that all the time. It's really easy to get carried away in the sun and the energy and everything that's happening, and then just feel really sad once the autumn is here. But how can we celebrate this? Because let's be honest, without winter, summer wouldn't feel as good. Winter is what we need. It's what we need to make summer feel even better. So that's my message for today. How can we make it better for us? How can we celebrate these small thresholds that we cross every single year to make it a bit more special? So some of the suggestions maybe actually what you could do to celebrate in bulk. You don't have to call it in bulk. You can call it whatever you want. Maybe it's a lovely walk in nature. Actually noticing those little buds that are slowly emerging on all the trees. Maybe you could cook something, maybe a traditional cake, a delicious wintry cake, and have it with a cup of tea. Maybe you could clear your home, you could prepare for the light to return, you can create your own ritual. You can do what you like, but I just think it's a great time to set intentions for the coming spring. Really think about, what do we want more of? What do you feel stirring inside of you? What do you want your next season to be all about? So I'm really hoping that this made you think about things from maybe a slightly different perspective. Thank you so much for listening. I'm also actually working on a free workbook to really help you maybe take stock of where you are right now and really help you to set intentions and plan for the future. Where do you want to be going forward? So this will be available in the next few days, and please make sure they sign up to my newsletter so you'll be the first ones to get it. It's completely free, but it's just my gift to you. So I will link a sign up below, but you can just do that on my website as well if you like. So it's janapuisha.com. And also please make sure that you follow this podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming and new interviews. And also I would always love to hear what you think. How did you find this? So get in touch. You can do that on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way, but at the same time, feel free to email me. Always love to hear from people. So what are you up to? I'm also going to link a few articles that I found around Imbolc if something that you're interested in, so you can have a nosy and learn a bit more. But yeah, thank you so much everyone. Thank you for listening. Share this episode with your friends, like, subscribe, and we'll chat very soon. Bye.